from the KMOV Broadcast Center. News 4 is in storm mode.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with a first alert update on what's happening. Just want to, at the top of the hour here at 1 o'clock, we'll do it again at 2 and 3 o'clock, get you up to speed on what's happening on radar and where the storms are most severe and developing. We're not dealing with it right now in St. Louis, but we could be in the next few hours. We do have a tornado watch across the area, which I'll delve into coming up in just a bit. And I just wanted to start where the storms are. Now, we just saw some storms miss our area to the northwest. Those are up near Quincy. And the ones to the southwest are just bubbling up now. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings you see in yellow. They haven't come into our coverage area yet, but they certainly could soon. In fact, the timing at about probably 50 to 60 miles per hour on this cell would get into southern southwestern part of Crawford County in about 34 minutes. Maybe western to western Iron and Reynolds counties in about 30 to 35 minutes. And we'll have to keep an eye on new cells like that pop up. So in the short term here, there's nothing urgently coming into the St. Louis metro, but it is developing farther to the west and, of course, some storms to the northwest. So we have to keep an eye on both of those, as well as the front that's still farther off to the west. And that front is going to help spark more storms that you kind of see starting to develop already out around Kansas City. So we have kind of two waves. We have this that's coming right ahead of the front, and then we also have this that's coming in the early afternoon right out of the Ozarks and Arkansas. And so those two waves are going to attack us throughout the afternoon. I'd say in St. Louis, especially between 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock, let's be on guard. That means when school's letting out and during the rush hour, we could have some of these cells coming through that can produce tornadoes, damaging wind and hail. All of those are threats. In fact, we're now in a PDS tornado watch. Let me explain. That means a particularly dangerous situation. And it's issued by the Storm Prediction Center out of Norman, Oklahoma. And they use that terminology to really grab your attention and let you know, like, hey, this is a not ordinary tornado, but EF2 or higher. And so that means a more destructive, strong to violent tornado threat, on top of the fact that the winds could be really strong, 60 to 80 miles an hour, maybe up to golf ball size hail. So for now, we have warnings to the southwest that we're monitoring, nothing coming into St. Louis urgently, but we are monitoring it here in the First Alert Weather Center alongside meteorologist Leah Hill, and we'll keep you updated. We'll have another update at 2 o'clock. In the meantime, if you want a little more in-depth explanation on what's happening, what we're seeing, I'll have that coming up right now on the live stream, so you can get on the KMOV Weather app, which you can scan that QR code and download that KMOV Weather app, and then scroll down to where it says Watch Live, and I'll be on that stream for about another 10 minutes or so. I'll do that again at 2 o'clock. I'll do it again at 3 o'clock. What's really handy is if we end up with tornado warnings, which certainly is a possibility today, you can always, if you're on the go, get that KMOV Weather app, watch me live, and I'll tell you exactly where those threats are. So that's going to be a handy tool for you. If you didn't have time to scan that QR code, just search KMOV Weather in your app store. Hope you have a safe afternoon. We're here in the First Alert Weather Center monitoring it, and we'll continue with more in-depth discussion on the live stream. Hey, everyone watching the live stream. I think we're putting this maybe on Facebook as well, maybe some other sources, just trying to get the word out and reach you wherever that is. We don't have any warnings right now in the area, but we probably will soon. Crawford, Washington County, Iron and Reynolds right there. You see another one coming into southern Reynolds. These aren't tornado warnings. The yellow boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings, but there's definitely a threat today for tornadoes. We had some pass to the northwest as well. In this afternoon through about 7 o'clock in St. Louis, 7 to 9. In the Illinois side, you'll still have some storms that could be severe. That's the time frame that we're going to watch here. So in general, pretty much now across the area through 7 o'clock in St. Louis through 9 o'clock to the east. So now through 9 o'clock in general across the entire area. Let's put a timing on this. 60 miles an hour. I did this on air. We're going to do these on air updates and do another one at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock unless we're just on the air anyway because of storms. And we said it getting into southern Crawford County and Iron and Reynolds in about a half hour. But I kind of want to draw just kind of, let's assume this keeps going, right? It would be like into Festus in southern Jefferson County in about an hour and a half. So that's around the 2:30 time frame. So that's going to be something we're going to have to keep an eye on down to the southwest. And then I also think we'll have to watch for new storms that are going to bubble up in between. You see them off to the west there. So new storms could bubble up here, but what's really happening is two waves. We got this wave of showers and storms coming in out of the Ozarks and out of Arkansas. I'll get you the big picture and you'll really see it. See how that's first wave there? This is going to be the wave right here that's developing near Kansas City. That's popping up right out ahead of the front. And so it's these kind of two waves. We'll have to see how widespread the cloud cover is on this and if that helps shut things down, especially for areas south perhaps, when the front actually arrives. But I suspect we're going to have enough energy that we're going to get some scattered severe storms across the area and potentially some tornadoes. That's why we have the tornado watch. It's a PDS watch, particularly dangerous situation. The Storm Prediction Center uses that terminology for higher end tornado watches to let you know that this is a threat for higher end severe weather. That includes 60 to 80 mile per hour winds, tornadoes that could be EF2 or higher in damage, and quarter to golf ball size hail. It goes until 8 o'clock. I do think that by about 7 to 8, the storms are probably in the Metro East, and from 8 to 9, they're really exiting our area. So to help give you an idea of timing, 3 to about 7 o'clock in the Metro, and some of those areas southwest earlier in that 2 to 3 time frame. And then by the time we get to about 7 o'clock, I think from about St. Louis to the west is going to be in the clear. And from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, we'll watch that line of storms still race through, finish up with the Metro East, race through towns like Nashville, Carlisle, into Greenville, and into Vandalia, and then eventually out very quickly. So that's the PDS storm watch. So two kind of areas of waves of storms, one out of the Ozarks, one popping out right ahead of the front. Those are the two things we're watching. This one is actually going to miss us, has missed us, and continue up into north central Illinois and Iowa. And that's actually very dangerous. These probably will start turning into some tornadoes for that area to the north. What we'll have to watch first is these storms to the south. And as I take a look at those a little closer, there's still severe thunderstorm warnings. And if I switch over to the Doppler winds, just to get a peek, it's far away from the radar, so you don't have as good of a look. Well, maybe a little rotation, but nothing real significant. And by the way, you can have a storm that rotates, but doesn't ever produce a tornado. So the radar may help us see if a storm's rotating, but that doesn't mean that it's producing a tornado, and this is not right now. But see that little high-end little signature there, that probably is producing some hail at least. And when you have that hail and a downdraft, you can end up with some strong straight-line winds coming out of that downdraft. Thanks to everyone who joined us on the live stream. This is going to be a handy tool when we do some updates on air. We'll stay on the live stream today for a little bit longer, just a little more in depth. We'll do that again at 2 o'clock and at 3 o'clock. Again, unless I'm already doing storm coverage constantly on air. And if I am, then that's going to be on the live stream for you as well. It's just a handy tool. I told my friends and family about making sure that you have the KMOV weather app and scroll down to where it says watch live, because if the sirens go off and you're thinking, where is it? What's happening? Well, the tornado could be in Florissant, but you're in Afton and you're not threatened because the sirens go off all over the county. So having that app and being able to watch me tell you exactly where these storms are is going to be a handy tool to kind of calm down the anxiety or instruct you on what you need to do if you are in the path of the storm. So we'll get through this together. It could be a busy day for sure. And the first thing we need to watch is the storms to the southwest. Again, the ones to the northwest have missed. That was more of a threat for Bowling Green. But we'll watch these. We'll watch if any new storms fill in here. And then a little farther back to the west, see those cells right there? That's probably going to be the main show in St. Louis, but I caution that this could also clip parts of the metro. So we have those two areas to watch. Okay, a lot to keep eye on. We have the tornado watch, PDS, particularly dangerous situation, until 8 o'clock. Just want to mention this too, that we also have a wind advisory through tonight. That is for non-thunderstorm wind gusts, 40 to 55 miles an hour. So that can take down large tree limbs. That can cause some isolated power outages as well, even when the storms aren't. And we also have storm mode Silverado. Go ahead, you can throw that up. We have our crews out in the field. They're out in O'Fallon, Missouri right now. And what we're doing is just kind of placing them. We had placed them a little on the northwest side of the metro, thinking that if storms clipped up to the northwest, like maybe Troy, Bowling Green, we could get to that damage and show it to you, get you the reports of what's happening as quickly as possible. But instead, those storms have missed. And so now we're going to bring them back into the metro and wait for what happens to the southwest and wait for that line ahead of the cold front that's going to hit us probably during rush hour in St. Louis, probably around 5 to 7 p.m. So we have our crews out in the field. Our crews have radar. We're in touch with them, and we'll make sure that they're not in any red boxes. That's the key, because red boxes are tornado warnings, and when they're looking at radar on their phone, I just don't want them in red boxes. So we'll make sure they stay safe, and we'll make sure that we can bring you views of what's happening, the reason they're out there, so that if there is damage, we can bring ground truth to it and report on it as quickly as possible. All right, so we will be back again at 2 o'clock on air, and then continue with the little more in-depth situation on the live stream. Got to watch these storms to the southwest, more storms to the west. It's going to be a bit of a long afternoon to early evening, but we hope that you're weather aware, and the fact that you're on the live stream right now watching this is really a good start. 2 things you need to calm down any anxiety. 1, a way to get the weather alerts, weather radio, paying attention to TV, paying attention to radio, any app. I don't care. I want you have the KMOV weather app, obviously, but just make sure that you have a way to get the warnings. That's what I care about. 2, have a plan. Know where you need to take shelter. Maybe you won't need to. Not everyone's going to be affected by severe weather today, but there's a possibility of some not only severe weather, but high-end severe weather. So we want to make sure you're prepared, alert, and safe. Hope you have a safe afternoon. We'll be back with more updates throughout the afternoon.